Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics. I'm Taylor Phillips, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports episode 89 on Spreaker and on iHeartRadio. You can follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips. Add me on Facebook as Taylor Phillips. Like my Facebook page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page, and join my group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports group. Going to talk some Red Wings and Devils, Pistons and Bucks. Going to preview Michigan and Northwestern, Michigan and State, Ohio State, and more Lions, Dolphins, and matchup analysis. And I got the previews for Michigan, Northwestern, and Michigan State, Ohio State on a newspaper. Lions, Dolphins analysis on the same thing. First off, Red Wings handle Devils at home 4-2 on DetroitRedWings.com. Nicholas Kronwall, first off, Steve Bernier scored just 3:18 into the game from Bryce Salvador and Steven Gianta. The Devils took a 1-0 lead, but just over a minute left in the first period. Jakob Kindl from Tomas Tatar and Darren Helm on the power play at 18:55. And then 27 seconds later, Brendan Smith gave the Wings the lead with a shot from the point in front of the blue line, assisted by Joachim Anderson and Drew Miller. The Wings led 2-1 after one period. They would roll on in the second period, getting two more, one on the power play, Johan Franzen from Kronwall and Henrik Zetterberg at 11:41 in the second. And then Nicholas Kronwall, speaking of whom, shot one off the boards, and then off the back to Corey Schneider and into the net, making it 4-1. That's how it stood through two periods. The Devils try to make a comeback. Jordan Tutu, the former wing, would get a juicy rebound, left wide open, and one time it past Jimmy Howard to make it 4-2 at 2:26 from Marek Zidlitsky at 2:26 into the third period. But the Wings outshot the Devils 7-6 in the third period. And they would hold on for a 4-2 win. Corey Schneider made 20 saves in the first two periods, and then Keith Kincaid made stopped all seven shots at backup, while Jimmy Howard made 15 saves on 17 shots on goal. The Devils pulled Kincaid at 3:10 with 3:10 left in the third period for an extra skater. No, that's not 3:10. The Devils were down by 2, and they were on the power play, but they pulled Kincaid with about 2 minutes left in the third. But the Wings killed it off. They killed off the penalty to Justin Applicator for roughing. 3 stars of the game. Star number 3, very questionable. Gustav Nyquist, 0 goals, 0 assists. He's the man. He usually contributes. He usually produces a lot of points this season for the Wings, and he should be an all-star, but his performance, he just wasn't there. But he got 5 shots on goal. But I guess that's why he was the 3rd star. He had the most shots on goal. Jakob Kingle was star number 2 with just 1 goal on 4 shots on net. And Nicholas Cronwall was star number 1 with a goal and an assist. The Wings had to play without Pavel Datsyuk, who slightly tweaked his groin in the morning skate and was a late scratch. George Malik tweeted on Twitter, Mickey Redmond says that Pavel had a slight tweak and that it's precautionary. Wings hope he'll be back Sunday. That's actually a good news, but that's actually good news considering the fact that a groin pull is usually like 7 to 10 days, according to MLive.com. But I guess MLive.com, the MLive.com beat writers were way off the chart on that one. We're way off on that one. The Magic Man, Pavel Datsyuk, has played 13 games and contributed 10 points. But he was held without a point in his last 2 games in Ottawa and New York. The Red Wings' next opponent is the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that is Sunday at 6 at Joe Louis Arena on Fox Sports Detroit. The Red Wings right now have 18 points in a tie for 4th place in the Eastern Conference with the Boston Bruins, just 1 point behind the Lightning, while the Devils are stuck with 14 points in a 4-way tie for 8th place with the Philadelphia Flyers, Toronto Maple Leafs, and New York Rangers. The Lightning are tied for 1st place with the Montreal Canadiens and Pittsburgh Penguins with those 19 points each. Then after the Lightning game, the Red Wings have 4 days of rest before they welcome in one of their arch rivals, one of their original 6 rivals, the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks have been very sluggish as of late. They've only won 4 out of their last 10, 4-6-0 in their last 10 games, and they only had 15 points. They already have 15 points. They're 7-6-1. The Wings are 7-3-4. The Lightning are 9-3-1. That's incredible. Consider that match, the Lightning matchup, a very interesting one. The Blackhawk matchup, even more interesting considering the Blackhawks are the underdog right now. Statistically, thus far this season. Blackhawks are solely in 9th place in the Western Conference. Taking a look at the wild card spot. The Red Wings are 3rd place in the Atlantic Division. So taking a look at the division standings, the Wings are in a tie for 3rd place with the Boston Bruins, who are 9-6-0. The Blackhawks are in 4th place in the Central Division in the Western Conference, 1 point behind the Winnipeg Jets. Nashville Predators have 18 in 2nd place, and the Blues lead the Central Division with 19 points. Blackhawks are in 3rd place in the wild card standings in the Western Conference wild card standings. The Devils are in a 3-way tie for 3rd place in the wild card in the Eastern Conference wild card with the Leafs and Flyers. The Wings had to call up Peter Mrazek to back up Jimmy Howard because Jonas Gustafsson is now out 2 months with a dislocated shoulder. So, I think Peter Mrazek should get an opportunity. Let's move on to the Pistons here. 2 games under Stan Van Gundy at the Palace, 2 98-95 Pistons wins. That's not the only weird quirk in common those 2 games have. In both, Josh Smith struggled mightily to put the ball in the basket. Writes Keith Langlois at web editor for Detroit Pistons for Pistons.com. Through Friday's 5 of 14, wasn't quite as painful as Wednesday's 2 of 17, but still was at the heart of the win through the variety of his contributions. Stan Van Gundy said of plays 6 seconds apart that preserved Friday's win over Milwaukee, the Bucks. The game, quote, the game winner and the defensive play at the other end, the 2 biggest plays of the game, unquote. The Pistons were ahead 95-93 late in the shot clock when Kentavious Caldwell-Pope missed a hurried jump shot and went wide left, and only an alert rebounder would have been in position to corral it. Smith was wide awake, grabbed it, and because the ball hadn't hit the rim to reset the shot clock, got the follow-up in a hurry to give the Pistons a 2-point lead with 15 seconds to go. Smith said, quote, I saw the angle of it and I was just trying to get in position to get and try and make a play on it. I knew the clock was going down, so I wanted to make a quick play on it, unquote. The Bucks, hurrying down court in a 2-possession game, never managed to get a shot up because Smith found a passing lane and picked off Brandon Knight's pass, feeding it ahead to Caron Butler to put him at the free throw line. Van Gundy added, quote, I give him a lot of credit, I really do, fighting through frustration and everything else, just hanging in there and caring about nothing other than winning the game. I give him a lot of credit for that, unquote. Smith said about it, quote, just intangibles, the game is not all about scoring. Offense comes and goes, and right now it's a little struggle for me getting the ball in the hole. So I try to be as versatile as possible. Draw defenders, make passes to the perimeter folks and guys knocking down shots and just finding a way to will myself to make plays, unquote. So Smith finished with 14 points, one of 6 Pistons in double figures, but also 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a blocked shot. Not a bad night's work. His co-star was another native Georgian, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who scored 19 points, and for the second straight game, drained a critical 3-pointer to keep rallying the team at bay. This time it came with 2:27 to play in Milwaukee on a 6-0 run to pull within 3 points. Van Gundy said it was huge and great to see KCP taking it. He hit a huge shot. Van Gundy thought KCP played great perimeter defense tonight. Caldwell-Pope said of his big triple, 1 of 3 he hit in 5 attempts, quote, he was backing off on me, so I just raised up and shot the ball instead of forcing it. I took what he gave me, unquote. For long stretches, he was matched up with Knight, the ex-Piston who didn't get much going until late in the third quarter, when a 7-point burst from him helped the Bucks take a 68-63 lead. It lasted as long as it took Brandon Jennings to drain 2 3-pointers, 37 seconds. Van Gundy added, quote, the thing I really like team-wide is we hit a really bad stretch and where we sort of lost it. They took a 5 or 6 point lead and we didn't melt down at all. We went from there and played really good. I thought that was a big step forward for us. a lot of times those kind of games get away, and I thought we played very well down the stretch. The consecutive wins lead the Pistons at 2-3, with Utah coming in Sunday before they hit the road for a daunting 4-game trip against 4 2014 playoff teams. No chance of looking past the Jazz, Smith said. We're definitely taking it one game and one day at a time. Utah is a good team. They beat Cleveland Cavaliers at home, and they have a lot of young talent there. We're definitely not looking past Utah. Our main focus is to get that win before we go on this long road trip. Unquote. So after an 0-3 start, the Pistons are starting to catch on a bit. I still think they should have been 5-0 or at least 4-1. Considering how really well they did in the preseason. Andre Drummond, their big center, finished with a double-double of 11 points and 10 rebounds. May I not forget. Caron Butler also added 14 points of his own. Brandon Jennings finished with 15 points. For Milwaukee, Jabari Parker scored a career-high 18 points. No double-doubles for the Bucks, for any Bucks players. Brandon Knight, former Piston, finished with 17 points. Just 2 Bucks players finishing in double figures. Dudley with 9, in a tie with someone with a long name. Can't see clearly. So the Pistons with that win improved to 2-3. Their next game is tomorrow, Saturday night. Yeah, both the Red Wings and Pistons play Sunday at 6. Actually, they both have Saturday off. The Red Wings play on Fox Sports Detroit Plus, and the Pistons play on Fox Sports Detroit. So the 6 o'clock Sunday night at 6 o'clock should be a big sports party here. Lightning and Red Wings and Jazz and Pistons. Time's running out quickly. We've got less than 20 minutes left. Let's move on to college football. First off, the Michigan Wolverines and the Northwestern Wildcats play at 3:30 on ESPN2 at Ryan Field in Evanston, Illinois. Written by Mark Snyder from the Detroit Free Press, when the Jorgensen family began traveling to prospective colleges for their son Paul, eyes opened. And by the way, you can call in on the show or text the show at 231-429-3668. That's 231-429-3668. Impressive facilities, passionate coaches, character players. Stanford had much of that, but tried to offer something more. The Cardinal had the Jorgensens join another recruit family sitting for a few minutes with Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State and a Stanford professor. John Jorgensen, Paul's father, said this week, quote, "She asked us questions, we asked her questions, and it was a really nice dialogue. We pretty much kept it on sports." Now, what kind of analysis is this? Okay. 5 keys for Michigan at Northwestern. Number 1, from MLive.com, written by Nick Baumgartner. The Wildcats struggle unless you teed up for them. I'll get back to the Free Press paper after I read this. It's on my phone here. Northwestern's offense is bad. There's no getting around it. Kane Coulter's gone. So is Venric Mark. The team's never really been able to replicate the unique talent it had a few years ago in Dan Persa either. The Wildcats score fewer than 20 points per game, and their 330 yards per contest is the same as Michigan's output, and we know that's been a problem. But Northwestern was able to score a blowout win at Penn State and a home win against Wisconsin. Why? Because the Wildcats do have the ability to take your bonehead plays and cash them in. Against Penn State, a team that struggled, the Nittany Lions blew a punt coverage early in the game, and the Wildcats get a quick touchdown after a short field. After a short field. Northwestern then goes up 14-0 after an impressive drive, and the game was basically over from there. And as Penn State had a field goal block, a questionable turnover on downs midway through the third quarter, an interception returned for a score in the fourth, and a lost fumble on the very next offensive snap. Wisconsin, the Badgers threw an interception in the end zone on the team's first possession of the game, chucked another immediately after the team's first touchdown drive in the third quarter, missed a field goal, punted from the Northwestern 32, and then threw a third interception also in the end zone midway through the fourth, and finished the game, you guessed it, with another interception on the final drive. So you can sort of see the trend there. Michigan's been the worst team in the Big Ten and one of the worst in the country this year at turnover margin, -13. The Wildcats aren't a very good football team, but unlike Indiana, they're more than good enough to take careless interceptions, fumbles, and various other brain freezes and turn them into a victory. Number 2, Justin Jackson is an emerging talent. He has filled Venric Mark's shoes. Venric Mark transferred to another college, but Jackson has played in his last 4 games with feature rushing totals 162 yards, 106, 128, and 96. He's not big, he's not strong, he doesn't have home run speed, but his feet in space are outstanding. His cutting ability can turn a zero rush into 3 or 4 yards, and he's also a threat. He's also a threat out of the backfield, as he had 4 catches for 50 yards and a score and a touchdown against Minnesota earlier this year. Michigan struggled with missed tackles in the past. If that happens Saturday, Jackson's good enough to cash in on them. Number 3, take some shots. Northwestern's pass rush in recent weeks has been non-existent. After racking up 12 sacks over the first 4 games of the season, the Wildcats have registered just 2 since. This is statistically the worst pass rushing team in the conference, with just 14 sacks on the year, meaning Michigan's offensive line should be able to provide a suitable pocket for Devin Gardner to stand in throughout this game. If Gardner can get himself comfortable in a stationary pocket, and if he's healthy enough to play on the move a bit, Michigan should have the time to take some shots down the field now and again. At some point, they're going to have to get Devin punches going again, and Saturday, if time permits, could be the day to do it. Kick return. The Wildcats are averaging a miserable net average of 32.3 yards per attempt. Dennis Norfleet will have opportunities to do something other than take a knee in the end zone or run away from a punt. Can he cash in? Predictions. Nick Baumgartner has Michigan winning 18-13. And Brendan Quinn has Northwestern winning 24-13. So, going back to the free press sports paper that I got from my grandma, I'm going to preview Michigan State at Ohio State. It's what's up all on the line. It's what's up front that counts when the Spartans' meaty offensive line meets the Buckeyes' fearsome defensive line. From East Lansing, they're anonymous by comparison to their smaller, faster, flashier teammates, and maybe that's why offensive linemen like nicknames so much. Michigan State has a Hogs formation and 9 blockers on the field, with their quarterback, Connor Cook, and running back with a guard lining up at tight end. Jeremy Langford's running back. The guard is the Hog in the formation, and this season it's been Brandon Clemens. MSU's class of 2012 linemen had been dubbed the Meat Squad by line coach Mark Staten, Jack Meatball Conklin, Cody Meatstick Kyler, Benny Meatloaf McGowan, and Zach Porkchop Higgins. And Conklin, the Spartans' emerging sophomore star at left tackle, is a part of another group with a fancy moniker this season. A group of 2 with senior left guard Travis Jackson. "We call ourselves the Wolfpack," Jackson said. "We asked the rest of the offensive line, and they said, 'Oh, that's stupid, so it's just the 2, quote unquote. It'll be all of them, this line that looks more and more like the best to block for a Mark D'Antonio team required to win that matchup that could decide Saturday's showdown between MSU and number 7 MSU and number 13 OSU. That game starts at 8 o'clock on your local ABC television affiliate. OSU gets more attention for its high-scoring Urban Meyer devised offense, but its defensive line might be its best unit. And Joey Bosa might be its best player. He leads the Big Ten with 10 sacks and 14.5 tackles for loss. He's 6'5", 278 pounds, weighs 278 pounds. He's a sophomore. He sealed a double overtime win at Penn State on October 25th by using running back Akeel Lynch as a bowling ball to knock down quarterback Christian Hackenberg. Fans who like to watch great linemen and NFL scouts who must evaluate them are lucky. We'll get to see Bosa and Conklin match up for a portion of the game. Conklin served as Nebraska defensive end Randy Gregory's silencer in an MSU win October 4th. He's 6 foot 6 inches tall, weighs 303 pounds. Conklin doesn't know how much he'll actually see Bosa. Bosa seems comfortable rushing from the right side, but he also lines up on the left side and on the interior at times. Head coach Mark D'Antonio of Michigan State said they do move him around, so what predicates is that a little bit probably coach speak, quote unquote. It's as if Ohio State looks for a vulnerable foe, forcing teams to give more help and opening things up for standout line mates Michael Bennett and Adolphus Washington. The best counter is to shoot out at Bosa and company as often as possible rather than spend all night backpedaling. Spartans rush offense 254.9 yards per game is 80 plus yards per game better than last season. The Spartans had meager rushing success against OSU last season, though Jeremy Langford's late 26-yard touchdown to put the game away helped MSU finish with 134 as a team. Again, Saturday at 8 on your local ABC affiliate. We have had a message there, but it was from Spreaker saying the connection was lost. But anyway, one quick analysis on Tannehill. Tannehill is averaging the Lions-Dolphins matchup. Tannehill is averaging 6.8 yards per pass, which rates 28th in the league, with 7.9 per rush. He has rushed for more yards this season, 245, than Dan Marino totaled in his career 87. But 6 weeks ago, there was speculation Tannehill might be on the verge of losing his job. Following a dismal loss to Kansas City, Coach Joe Fiblin, head coach of the Dolphins, declined to give an embattled Tannehill a public vote of confidence, fanning a brief quarterback controversy. Tannehill conceded the situation bothered him, and Fiblin eventually acknowledged he mishandled the situation and created a locker room distraction. But while Tannehill has played much better since, he repeatedly denied the Tempest served as a catalyst. So Tannehill is playing much better, decreasing the Lions' chances of beating the Dolphins. But I still think the Lions would win 17-14. That's going to do it. For Taylor's Detroit Sports episode 89. I'm Taylor Phillips on Spreaker and on iHeartRadio. TTFN, ta for now.